and we welcome you to our Small Business Connect meeting with General Contractor GH Phipps, who will be giving a presentation today on the Denver Central Public Library. Just to go over a couple of housekeeping things with you right now so that we're all know what's going on. We're going to record today's presentation, and we also have a chat room open so that you can submit your questions through the chat room, and we will take our questions to the contractors as well. However, it is a small group, so if you raise your hand, we could unmute you and you could ask your question directly at that time. We suspect the whole thing with Q&A will be about an hour and a half. We're also going to allow each one of our contractors on the line to introduce themselves and to give us a couple of sentences about their company so the GH Phipps folks know who is on the line as well, so they could hopefully anticipate some of those questions going forward. Again, I thank you for being here today, joining us. I want to thank our HCC Platinum members. These are the folks at the highest level of membership with HCC that's truly helped us keep our doors open here at HCC. Our board of directors, we have 14 board members. They are volunteers, and want to make sure that you hopefully recognize some of these names. And if you see them, please thank them for their participation on the HCC board. Here's our mission. Our mission is in the construction industry is to help our small and large businesses. So it's something that we take very seriously. We're very much aligned with and try to provide our goods and services to our membership following this mission. At this point, we're going to allow, before we introduce Todd from GH Phipps, we're going to go through and allow our guests or folks in today to introduce themselves. And no specific order, but I'm going to start with Christy Cook, who's right on the top. Christy, you've been unmuted if you would like to introduce yourself, and then we'll follow with Kate and then Callie, number 2.
Christy Crook with Phoenix Masonry. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
We can see you.
All right. Phoenix Masonry, we actually do currently work with GH Phipps, but I'm interested in getting some more information on the Denver Central Library project that you guys are talking about today. So I look forward to hearing from you guys.
Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Kate? Or Callie, go ahead, Callie.
Yeah, I'm Kelly Tom with Denver Electrical Contractors. We've done quite a few projects with Phipps, and we're looking forward to hearing about this new opportunity.
All right. I'm not sure the name is Haley's the last name. Oh, you're still on mute. Hold on. Is Kate, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes, go right ahead.
Fantastic.
Okay, you're with GH Phipps. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. No worries.
That's why I had that all messed up there. Let's go with the T. Haley.
Yeah, hi, I'm Terry Haley with LEI Companies, electrical contractor, and we too have worked with GH Phipps. Enjoy working with them, and look forward to hearing more about this project.
Thank you. We already did Callie. About Lisa and Malcolm will be next, and then Marjorie. Let's see. Lisa, we have trouble unmuting. You can.
Hi there, Chris. How are
Okay,
you?
there you go.
I'm Lisa Buckley with American Automation. We do security solutions.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. Malcolm?
Yes, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. First time joining on behalf of Vanessa Ingalls and Diamond T Services. Looking forward to learning more about the opportunities through the HCC. Thank you.
Thank you. Marjorie? You should be good now, Marjorie. Maybe we missed her.
Looks like she's still muted.
Let's do Victor.
I'm sorry, I did not mute my phone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. I'm Marjorie Williams with the business consultant with the Minority Business Development Agency Business Center. And we have clients that are always looking to find new opportunities, and we just want to stay informed so that we can also be a resource for you for finding those minority businesses that you will need to have for your services and to make your small business goals.
Thank you, Marjorie, for joining us today. Victor, let's unmute Victor.
Hello, I'm Victor Garcia with Flawless Steel Welding, a full-service structural steel contractor, recognized as AISC fabricator and director here on the line.
Thank you. Chad?
Hi, thank you for having this opportunity for us. Chad Green with Bowen Studios. And we're a small general construction management firm. Hoping we could talk about the potential of looking at like a second tier GC for the project. Looking forward to hearing about it. Thank you.
All right. I think I got all of our participants. If I missed somebody, please send me a message in the chat room. The rest of the folks are with GH Phipps, I believe, and we'll be having an opportunity to talk. At this time, I think we want to turn this over to Todd Ruff from GH Phipps.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Chris. If you don't mind, I just want our team to briefly introduce themselves before I jump in and talk about GH Phipps in a little bit more detail. My name is Todd Ruff. I'm Vice President here at GH Phipps and have been here at GH Phipps for 22 years now. Mark, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Mark Hawk. I'm in pre-construction. I'm leading the pre-construction efforts on this one. I've been with Phipps for 14 years now.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kate Levicki, as I started to say earlier, and I'm within the HR department at GH Phipps. So primarily on the Denver Central Library project, I will be the workforce coordinator, and this will be my third project now in the pilot program, which we will cover here in a little bit.
And then Adam Tormolen.
Yeah, hi, I'm Adam Tormolen. I'll be the project manager on site. I've been with GH Phipps for 14 years. I got some experience with this program for my last project here at Denver Botanic Gardens. It was more of like a pilot program, definitely more so than this one. So I'm looking forward to getting into this. And if you guys have any questions, let me know.
Perfect. Well, that's the GH Phipps team that's joining us today. And on behalf of our team, I just want to thank you, Chris, for allowing us the time to meet with the group and thank everybody for your time today. I know how busy everybody is and how valuable your time is. So thank you for joining us. We're eager to jump in, share a little bit about GH Phipps. Mark is going to talk about the project in a little bit more detail. You know, what trades, talk about the phasing, etc. And then Kate, like she mentioned, she's going to talk about the Workforce Now program. And her and Adam can help walk through what that program looks like, how we've worked through that at our Denver Botanic Gardens job, and just answer any questions that anybody has along the way. So with that, again, I'm Todd Ruff. I'm a vice president here. And Mark and I and Adam and Kate are all working together on the Denver Central Library renovation project. So with that, Chris, if you could hit the next slide. I just want to hit a little bit GH Phipps on a high level. We were founded about 70 years ago in 1952 by a gentleman by the name of Gerald H. Phipps. He was a special man. It was a pretty well-known figure in Colorado. And upon his death in the early 90s, he gifted the company to his employees, which then turned the company into a 100% employee-owned company. So the four of us in front of you today are actually owners of the company, and that runs through our president, through the person answering at the phones at the front desk. So it really helps build a special culture with that in mind. In terms of the work that we do, 85% of the clients that we work with are repeat clients. So it speaks to the level of relationships and how important relationships are to us, not only with our clients and designers, but our trade partners that we're working with as well. With that said, a lot of our work, 85% of it, to be more precise, is focused on projects that are centered around existing occupied campuses, which, as you'll hear in a bit, the Central Denver Library is definitely one of those types of projects. And for those of you that are familiar with the Denver Central Library, you can attest to just how busy and how occupied that project is, and how much of a challenge that site is. Chris, if you can hit the next slide. From a corporate standpoint, we have about 220 employee owners that are part of the GH Phipps ownership structure. And then we have another ranging anywhere from 200 to 250 crafts people in the field that are out on project sites that are signatory to our carpenters and laborers union that we belong to. So as part of that, we truly pride ourselves on being a true builder at the end of the day. We're not just focused on subcontracting out all of our work. We really have that builder's mentality, and through our carpenters and laborers, we self-perform a number of different trades, whether it's structural concrete, rough carpentry, erosion control measures, etc., to really help manage schedule, manage quality, and deliver exceptional building experiences to our clients. To that end, we've got a total of 6 offices across Colorado and Wyoming, all of them pretty much living and being across or along the Front Range. We are headquartered out of our Greenwood Village, Denver office here at 5995 Greenwood Plaza Boulevard, to go along with our 3 other offices here in Colorado, as well as 2 in Wyoming. Chris, if you could hit the next slide. Again, to hit on Mr. Phipps's legacy, again, he was the founder of our organization, and he really centered the organization around building construction projects that enhanced the communities that we lived and worked in. And to that end, that speaks to a lot of the types of work that I'll get into here in a second. But Mr. Phipps was a special person. His father was a U.S. Senator. Mr. Phipps actually owned the Denver Broncos from 1965 to 1981. And he is actually the only non-player on the Ring of Fame, if you go to a Broncos game and look around that Ring of Fame, to be inducted into that elite club of Denver Broncos. So kind of a neat note about him in particular. Our current president, Kurt Klanrud, has been our president here at GH Phipps since 2007. So president for 14 years here at Phipps, and he spent a total of 30 years in total here at GH Phipps. So again, it speaks to that long-lasting legacy and continuity of who GH Phipps is at the end of the day. Next slide. I mentioned community, and I want to hit on just how important community is to us and talk about one of the special programs that we run here at GH Phipps. It's our program that we call 160-1952. And what that program centers around is, in every year, we strive to contribute hours and monetary donations to 60 or more organizations. And we're going to contribute through our employees a total of 1,952 hours or more to these various organizations. So it was a organization that we used to celebrate our 60th anniversary, which was back in 2012, and that was the 60 years of incorporation at that time. The 1952 number of hours was the year we were incorporated. So we've kept that going over the last 8 years as a goal for our organization to truly give back to a lot of organizations that are near and dear to us, not only as an organization, but are near and dear to us as individuals and are important to the individuals of our organization along the way. So we love to incorporate our families, our children, to really help give back and create that or maintain that legacy that Mr. Phipps created. Next slide. In terms of the services that we conduct, we, along with our pre-construction efforts of managing process design phase, along with our construction services of building these special projects, we have a couple other divisions that are very unique to GH Phipps. One of them being our self-performed concrete division, which is an ability for us to serve as a trade partner, not only for GH Phipps projects, but for other general contractors in the area as well, where we do Division 3 turnkey services. Additionally, we have a division called our Special Projects Division, which is centered around smaller, shorter schedule duration type projects that allow us to touch additional clients, complete more projects, and really work with a lot more trade partners out in the construction industry here in the state of Colorado. So we have a group of about 20 individuals that create that special projects program. And a lot of times that allows people that are new to GH Phipps, new trade partners, to get their foot into the door with GH Phipps on a smaller project a lot quicker than maybe waiting for that larger opportunity to build that level of connection and that relationship along the way. So we definitely want to spend some time and answer any questions that you all might have on our special projects program. Next slide. I just want to hit on some of the markets that we serve, and along with that, some of the specific projects to highlight that I'm sure some of you have seen and are aware of. But generally speaking, the markets that we serve center around healthcare, higher education, K-12 schools, science and technology, and then office, municipal, retail, and other commercial entities. So we really pride ourselves on having a diverse background, diverse group of market sectors, and really allow us to weather difficult and challenging economic environments like the recession that we've all went through and the COVID challenges that we are all dealing with right now, and having that diversification in terms of the portfolio of work that we do. Next, I want to jump into highlighting a few of our special projects that you might be aware of. So on the next slide, Adam has spent the last 10 years working on our Denver Botanic Gardens project. And the project that we're looking at right now is our Science Pyramid project, which we completed back in 2014 and is at the heart of the Denver Botanic Gardens campus. Adam is now currently working on our Center for Science, Art, and Education project that we just recently got the certificate of occupancy on. And that is a $36 million, very special space that brings indoor art gallery space to the gardens, along with a large auditorium, classrooms, laboratories that create a very diverse program for the Denver Botanic Gardens as part of their 10-year master plan that we're just wrapping up the efforts on. The next slide is a look at what that rendering is of the project that we're just finishing up there at Denver Botanic Gardens, and we're hoping can win those AGC ACE awards and design awards that the Denver Botanic Gardens has come to experience over the years. The next one is one that we're all familiar with being in Denver, and that's the state of Colorado's state capitol building. We, back in 2014, completed the dome restoration, where we re-gilded with solid gold leafing the gold dome on top, painted the entire top of the dome, and did a lot of restoration work to the masonry and steel structure that comprised that dome. And that was another one of those very highly visible award-winning projects that we are very fond of. The next slide is one of our recent large projects, which is our Lake House on 17 condominium project. This is a $110 million high-end condominium project just south of Sloan's Lake, west of the Broncos Stadium. But it's a 14-story condominium project that is open and now occupied, and just a beautiful structure in that bustling Sloan's Lake neighborhood. Next. Here's another project that we completed in downtown Cherry Creek, which was the global headquarters for the Global Down Syndrome Foundation, which is an office, retail, as well as the top level of this is a residence that speaks to that mixed use and commercial type of project that we've worked on. Next slide. Very quickly, just globally speaking, want to talk about our sustainability measures at GH Phipps. We're extremely vigilant in terms of not only completing a large number of LEED projects, but really working with our design partners and our clients on working with sustainable materials, systems. We're so passionate that when we built our corporate headquarters here back in 2010, we did so under the LEED accreditation and our certification to get LEED Silver on our offices here. To that point, we actually built the first LEED certified hospital in the world up in Boulder back in 2005, and have continued on that importance ever since we built that special project. Next slide. So with that, I wanted to wrap up just kind of that overview of GH Phipps, and want to invite anybody if they have any questions on who GH Phipps is, or any questions before Mark Hawk jumps into the Denver Central Library project in more detail. All right, if there's no questions, I'm going to let Mark take over and talk about this special project.
Great, thanks, Todd. So to give some specifics about the work that we're doing at Denver Central Library, you'll see on the screen kind of an overview of what the project entails. Overall, the project is roughly a $27.9, $28 million project. It's a major renovation of the interior of the building, providing a number of new program spaces for the library, which are below, you'll see on the list there. As far as schedule, it looks like construction will start December timeframe of this year and run through November of 2022. In the base bin, as you'll see up there, we're renovating the restrooms, levels 1 through 7, which is a full gut and rebuild and an installation of a new vacuum plumbing system by Acorn. That portion of it is roughly $6 million. And that's an early bid pack, actually, that will allow us to start in December, a little bit earlier than what we were anticipating originally. And then probably the largest component of the base bid is the large program space. What we're doing there is pretty fascinating. We're basically blowing a hole in this center of kind of the heart of the library, enlarging the space, opening it up. So removing the concrete waffle slab, putting up steel beams to create a new program space for the community. And that portion of the work would probably start in April of next year for construction. Then there's the Children's Library, which is a renovation of the existing library to provide a new space for the children in the city. Obviously, the library wants to be an attractive place for families, for them to bring children. So that's component of the base bid. Then there's general work to the building overall, modernizing the elevators, upgrading the mechanical systems in the building. And then also, because of funding, is they're in the middle of fundraising still, there's a number of alternates that they are looking at, which adds up to in excess of 10 million. That as they get additional funds, they want to try to buy some of those extra parts and pieces of the project. So like I say, just a summary there, structural renovation of really the basement level through level 2, mechanical renovations, equipment replacements, lighting controls through the building, telecom, AV upgrades. The project does require prevailing wages. And like Todd was saying earlier, this is a LEED project as well, so LEED Gold, and it has an 18% goal for MeBe-WeBe participation. In addition to that, there is a workforce development program that this is a pilot project for with the city, and that is requiring 15% of the hours to be performed by apprentices. And of those 25%, or I'm sorry, of those 15%, 25% to come from targeted areas and populations, and 25% by first-year apprentices. And Kate will get into some more of those details later, but I just wanted to kind of hit that as a project overview. Next slide. And as far as schedule, like I say, right now, we're in the midst of budgeting, but the final documents are anticipated to be out in July for the restroom upgrades package. And then the base bid, really the end of October is when those final drawings will come out. And in that, we anticipate buying potentially a couple bid packages, you know, interiors, exteriors, as those can be permitted separately. And then also the alternates will be in that set of drawings as well. And then to give you some background of how we would procure the work, or kind of what is going to happen in the pre-con phase before then is, you know, when we get those drawings, we would get them out to the market. We would give people 2 weeks roughly to get numbers back to us. And we'll ask trade partners to submit on our bid forms that we create to help kind of clarify the scope, make clear expectations of them when we're on site to make it a successful project. And then as soon as we get numbers in, we'll do our part to make sure everybody's looking at the same project, apples to apples, bring people in to hold a pre-award meeting. And in the end of the day, the successful subcontractor would be awarded really on a best value basis. Because of the number of requirements on this project, is, as we said, the MeBe-WeBe goals are important. Workforce development is an important requirement for the project. And of course, you know, best value, best cost for the client as well. And then once we make those awards, of course, we can provide debriefs as requested to give people feedback on how they did, how their numbers looked, so that, you know, we can provide that constructive feedback as well. Next slide. The overall schedule, and again, I'm not going to go through all this line by line by any means, but just to give an overview, like we said, the restroom upgrades is slated to start in December of this year. And at least originally, before COVID, it was roughly a 2-year duration because we'd have to do each floor at one time and then move to the next floor. So depending on how the reopening happens, there might be a potential to work in more restrooms at once instead of just working in one on one floor at a time. But that is pretty fluid depending on our current situation, honestly. And then the base bid scope is slated to start end of April of 2021. And then below you'll see, again, kind of a summary of the alternates or the other components of the project that may become a part of the project in the end of the day as well. And those all kind of range from starting in December of 21 to July of 2023. So depending on the final fundraising amount and what their priorities are, will determine which one of those end up being a part of the construction. If you go to the next slide. As far as the trades involved in the project, again, here's a list of all the trades. To summarize, you know, the major areas of work, like we said, LPS, there's a lot of structural demolition. Concrete, we're going to be encasing the columns in the LPS and building new concrete corbels. Masonry, there is some stone paneling inside the building and outside the building that we would be patching as necessary, and some CMU walls in the basement. Structural steel obviously is a big component of it. It's roughly 100 tons of steel in the LPS alone. And then in the alternates, there are some major elements like grand staircases in the main hall that we're going to be looking at as well. Millwork, it's a decent millwork package. There's wall paneling involved, and of course a new millwork for the use of each space. Glazing, there's operable glass partitions on the inside of the space. And some options for exterior curtain wall as well. And then on the exteriors, we're looking at improving the space there, the potential of building a new children's playground on the north side of the building. But those are at least a more comprehensive list of trades involved. Next slide. And as far as our requirements of the project, there is an 18% requirement for our participation. And we would like to see if the attendees could complete a project registration form that we could email out after the completion of this call, and also send us a AIA A305 as well, so that we can, one, get you guys, you know, in our system so that we can start communicating with you more frequently for not only this job, but of course other projects that we have with the company. And then if there are groups that are not certified but are interested in being certified, I know HCC is a great resource on walking through that process and being able to help you guys get to that point as well, so you're certified with the city. And as far as the project, I'll kind of stop it there for the summary overall, and then I'll let Kate Levicki, our workforce coordinator, walk through some of those components.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mark. As I mentioned before, I'm Kate Levicki, and I am in the Human Resources Department here at Phipps. I will be the primary point of contact for anything workforce related on the Denver Central Library. And as mentioned earlier, I've actually worked with Adam Tormolin on the Denver Botanic Gardens, which was also a pilot program project, and currently at the National Western Center on that pilot program project as well. So have a little bit of experience. It's still kind of new for everyone, and there are still a lot of questions from all ends. So I'm going to take some time today to just kind of high level go over what the requirements are for this particular project, and then hopefully answer any questions you guys have as it pertains to workforce development. Next, Chris. Yeah, thank you. So again, three major components to my part of this presentation. Primarily, I want to talk to you about what the pilot program is and what the expectations are specific to the Denver Central Library. I'm also going to give an overview of the Work Now program, including an apprentice resource guide, which, by the way, we can also send to everybody after the call if you haven't already received it. And then ultimately, what does this all mean for us as contractors on, the Denver Central Library? So next. Mark had already mentioned it in just the project overview in general, but there will be specific apprenticeship requirements tied to this project. And really, that is managed by DEDO, the Denver Economic Development and Opportunity Group. And with that, the goal of the program is to ensure that Denver residents, so specifically those in economically disadvantaged areas or those maybe with disadvantaged backgrounds, benefit from the community's training and job placement efforts. So as a part of the pilot program requirements and requirements specific to this project, as Mark had mentioned, 15% of overall, and overall being the keyword there, construction hours must be performed by apprentices in registered apprenticeship programs, so state registered apprenticeship programs. Of that 15%, 25% of the total construction hours must be performed by apprentices that reside in targeted areas or zip codes, which we'll go through here in the next couple of slides. And then another 25% of that 15% must be performed by first-year apprentices. Next, yeah. So what is DEDO's definition of an economically disadvantaged area or individual? This screen really highlights just a few examples of what the pilot program defines as these populations. One area I do want to draw specific attention to is that last bullet point there that talks about priority zip codes. So these are the specifically defined zip codes that DEDO is focusing on in this pilot program. These are the zip codes that we report on quarterly throughout the project. And again, the other areas there, including like veterans and individuals coming up through foster care systems or have a history of homelessness, are also included in that target outreach. Next. So the big question I'm sure that you guys are thinking is, how are we going to be able to achieve these goals? What resources are available to us as subcontractors? And this is really where Work Now comes into play. So as a part of the pilot program, you will be required to utilize the Work Now platform, which really is a single point of reference, either for incumbent workers that are already on your project, for you as employers seeking help in meeting program requirements, and then also job seekers looking to be employed within your companies. Next. And really with Work Now, what their major priorities are, it can honestly be summed up into 4 areas. So first and foremost, Work Now is a platform to help provide training opportunities for craft workers. In addition to that, their goal is really to connect incumbent workers with support services. And that can include anything from access to free or reduced childcare. I've also seen, Work Now provide things like gift cards to Home Depot for tools for them to come to the job with, and even work boots. So if it's some sort of, support service, Work Now is really there to kind of provide that to workers on the job site. And then the third and fourth points there, Work Now really is in place to help, work with women and minorities in finding and keeping quality construction jobs, and then, to overall support the local economy. So those are the primary, priorities of the Work Now platform, and also not forgetting that they are a resource to us as employers, which we'll get into here in the next couple of slides. So with the pilot program with Work Now, what does that mean to us? Well, really for us at GH Phipps, it's always been about doing the right thing. And that way of doing business is supported by the Work Now platform. So on top of, the financial and contractual implications that the pilot program has on the Denver Central Library project, at the end of the day, providing opportunities to those who need it the most, and helping drive our local economy by providing those opportunities, it's just a good way of doing business. So it will require teamwork from all of the contractors involved on the project. It'll require us being realistic about expectations, but GH Phipps is confident in saying that if we're able to all work together and meeting goals set forth by the program, it's completely achievable. Next. And then in wrapping up workforce development, there are two more things I want to touch on, and it's more on the technical side of workforce development. So the first is LCP Tracker. For those of you on the call that are involved with maybe with your companies, this system will be familiar to you. Really, we also use this system as a mechanism of tracking some of the data that's used in our workforce development efforts on the job. So some of the information that's gathered both from the form there on your screen, as well as data including, an employee's sex, ethnicity, their address, because again, going back to the targeted zip codes. All that information can be collected in LCP Tracker, and then we actually convert it into metrics on a quarterly basis, which we use to gauge our project, use to gauge our progress towards meeting those goals of the job. So, I would say the key to success in utilizing LCP Tracker is gathering the information at an employee's time of hire. And I would say overall, that's the biggest area of opportunity that we'd have on this project as well. The next. So the final piece I want to mention is connecting Colorado. So DIDO does ask that employers on the job site, including subcontractors, utilize this platform. And really, it's just a comprehensive tool that you can use to not only advertise your job postings, but you can also use to search for candidates or open positions, and then you can actually use it to reach out specifically to Colorado applicants in a direct manner. So it's a one-stop shop for anything job posting related, and as a part of this project, you would be expected to post to this platform as well. We've been utilizing this as a company for years now, in terms of if any subcontractors needing help setting up an account with Connecting Colorado or needing help posting positions through that platform, we definitely are a resource for you. And again, that a contractor resource guide also has information on how you can set up an account. So that being said, that's all the information I have in regards to workforce development and the Work Now platform. Again, all of this information can be referenced in the Denver Construction Careers Contractor Resource Guide, and that's a mouthful. And then GH Phipps is also more than happy, to share with you that contractor guide if it hasn't already been communicated. I'm also happy, more than happy to personally help assist anybody on the call with questions they have in regards to workforce and the percentage requirements for this particular position. It is a pilot program. I just want to make sure I reiterate that. And for the contractors that will be specific to this job, it will be pertinent for us to, really come back to the table with areas that worked well for us in regards to workforce development and areas it didn't so much, because what the final plan will be based off of the feedback that we give DIDO, the city council, and the mayor, and a lot of it will be driven by this project specifically. So that being said, I will turn it over for any questions.
All right, Todd, I don't see any questions yet in the chat room, but folks, you're welcome to unmute. We have a small enough group that you can unmute yourself and also ask questions directly if you would like.
Thank you, Chris. This is Victor with Flawless Steel. Hey guys, I just want to ask, in this project, is there any AISC requirements for Division 5?
And Mark, you're on mute.
Sorry. Right now there are, but again, at this level of design, that may or may not change, but right now it looks like there are.
Is that both for fabrication and erection?
Let me take a look.
I thought it was just for the fabrication side that we had an initial conversation centered around, Victor.
Yeah, that's what kind of going to stand us apart from the Division 5 contractors. If we're both fabricators and erectors, AISC,
okay.
Plus we have our own recognized apprenticeship program.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So that's where it's going to be really hard for us small businesses. A lot of small businesses ain't going to have that program. inside of their company. So I believe that's what work now is going to come into effect. So to be a really help, be a resource for them.
Sure. Yeah, correct. And like I mentioned too, a part of that contractor resource guide, it actually goes step by step in terms of how you can, companies that don't have a registered apprenticeship program can work towards that. And we recognize, and we've had many conversations too with Dido on the effects of what these requirements are, especially to small business. So not that necessarily in the way that the contract is written right now, but potentially after, going through this pilot program on a few projects, still counting and tracking any training that companies have internally, whether or not it's a registered apprenticeship program or not, because we do work with a lot of smaller businesses who have some sort of internal training program or apprenticeship type program. So we definitely don't want to leave those out, even though they technically per contract don't apply towards the 15%. But yeah, you are correct.
And then just to confirm, the spec right now does call for AISC certified fabricator and erector.
Other questions?
Yeah, this is Kelly with Denver Electrical. Have you guys committed any of the project to any subs yet?
No, so this is City of Denver project. So in the end, with the final documents, we do owe them, at least 3 numbers for every trade. So to answer your question, no, there are no subs awarded yet, except for an earlier bid package, which was really just elevator modernization that ThyssenKrupp is working on. So ThyssenKrupp is awarded their, we're getting the contract in place for that part of the work. But other than that, no. Once the final documents come out, we need to get those at least 3 numbers for every trade for the owner.
Thank you.
I have a question. This is Chad with Bowen Studios. We're the general contractor. Do you guys anticipate any potential need or a value add to your process and project by bringing on a second tier general contractor to oversee certain scopes, or potentially to assist in managing, kind of creatively managing some of those goals with smaller businesses?
Sure, and Chad, that's something that you and I could talk about in more detail to get more background. We currently don't have anything outlined in that fashion, but that would be a good conversation for you and I to talk through, to evaluate in more detail.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Todd, Mark, I don't think we had your contact information on any of the screens. Would you like to give that to some folks on the line?
Yeah. So our emails are pretty straightforward. It's our first name dot last name. So mine is todd.ruff@ghphipps.com. And Mark is mark.hawk@ghphipps.com. And I'll see if I can multitask too and throw that on the chat function. If anybody wants to copy and paste there, I can drop that in for everybody.
Thank you. Other questions?
Yes, my name is Lisa Buckley, and again, we do security, site security services, including security officers, not the cameras, but primarily the officers. Wanted to know, and also we also support our clients with Firewatch services, and so often what we do is not included in the original scope, and usually comes kind of after the fact. And I asked this question probably both for the library as well as National Western. Do you know if you guys might have any need for security, and if so, who would be a good person to connect with as the projects go on?
Yeah, and that would be Mark Hawk and Adam Tormolen, and I'll get Adam's email here in a second. But oftentimes, Lisa, we'll have need from a security standpoint as well as Firewatch, and I don't know if that's something that you'll
Yeah,
provide.
we do Firewatch. We have like a we can do it within a 24-hour notice.
Okay, perfect. That's something that as we've got open flame that we've got to be concerned about, which is a little bit more minimal in terms of fire watch on this particular project. But I know generally speaking, we have that need on a number of our projects.
Sure.
So that would be something that we would love to talk to you in more detail about as well.
Awesome.
And Todd has put the emails on the chat room for folks to get them as well. Other questions?
Yeah, Chris, this is Victor. I want to thank you guys for sharing this project with us. But as you guys know, HCC has a small business council called Elevating Small Businesses. And what we do is we're trying to promote our members and our small businesses. So I want to take our this conversation and the details that we have and share it with our members and take the scope further from what we just talked about today and reach out to our membership and our other networks to make sure that we can serve you guys as members and to help make this a success. So I thank you just from the Small Business Council and HCC, and we're going to be working on the back end to make this thing a success.
Anyone else?
Hey, how you doing? This is Jesus with Imperial Welding. I also wanted to thank you guys for, giving us this opportunity to join you guys on this meeting and giving us all this information. It's a lot of good information, for us to have.
And Jesus, who can you say the name of your organization again? What you do?
Yes, it's Imperial Welding and
Okay.
Repair.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Any other questions? All right, Todd, Mark, appreciate you guys' time. I'm going to go through a couple more closing things here. We ask everyone to please follow us on our social media and to hashtag us if you can. Just as a reminder, we did record today's webinar, so we have that available. We will make that available to all of our membership. And so please feel free to contact us if you can't find it or get access to that. Also, at the end of today's webinar, we will send out a survey to all of our participants. Ask you to please complete the survey, provide us some feedback. Also, let us know what other things you would like to know or learn about, other topics for webinars. This is a new mode for us of trying to introduce GCs with our small businesses. Just so you know, GH Phipps provided us a list of the trades. We were very specific in reaching out to our small businesses that all fell within the trades, as well as open it up to others. And we learned that there's other opportunities, maybe not just on this project, but other projects that GH Phipps is working on, which we were very appreciative of them sharing as well. So do complete the survey if you'd like to see more of these types of things going on. We will continue to provide those for folks in the construction industry. A couple of, to save the dates, June 10th, we're going to have a PPP loan forgiveness webinar. Learn the ins and outs. There's an application. We'll walk you through on how to fill out, complete it, and to track everything you'll need for your loan forgiveness. Our June 17th is our virtual general membership meeting. We're going to have a DEN update, which will be the gate expansion for DIA, for Denver International Airport. So that should be good. That will be with, I think it's the Turner Flatiron and the Holder FCI groups. So plan to join us June 17th. And then we have another webinar called The New Normal. We tentatively have that for June 24th. You will receive information on these webinars, so please do join us for those as you can. Again, this is Chris Martinez of Hispanic Contractors. Thank you for joining us, and thank GH Phipps for the presentation and the willingness to share that information today. May you all have a good day.